Hello. Not the video I wanted to be making today, but it's the video that has to happen. So, I guess I just let my emotions come in a lot. And even though at points I don't feel emotional, I actually am. So, we can go over to the charts. Let me flip it over here. So this was Friday after my short happened. I took a short somewhere around here and I was trying to hold to the end of the gap on ES because we weren't even close on NQ. And I guess I maybe marked my gap wrong or somehow definitely got greedy, but all the profits that I had with just 3 micros, it was $666, just kept going away and away and away and away. And as it came back to my entry, I closed it for a little bit of a loss. So I was down maybe $200 on the day, and I didn't want to end my week red. So that turned into this. And the funniest part is that I was down 1,000 and I had it all back. Not that it matters, but I wanted what came back and more. I wanted to be green on the day, and those wants are really what sent my account and all my progress over the edge. So I had spent this weekend really considering what had happened. And we can go over some of my notes here. I took some very important notes. Well, there's not notes, I was just writing. And I wrote something like this. I got to 2,300 and 23,500, so my profit target is 3,000. I got to 23,500 and I blew it. And then I wrote, I got my account to 1,500 and then I blew it. I got my account to $750 in profit and I blew it. So I was trying to figure out, all of this, and I was just writing it down. And as I wrote it down, I wrote, what is the trouble here? And I thought, and I thought, and I thought, and I was like, oh, well, I'm focusing on the money over the process. I'm focusing on the 2,500, focusing on the 1,500, I'm focusing on the 750. And in those focuses, then my progress goes out the window. And, I've been trading for 2 years now, and for most of my trading journey, I didn't feel like it was worth it to pass an eval. It's like, why pass an eval if you're just going to gamble the eval, pass it, pay for the funded account, and then not take a payout. So I've kind of been projecting my own circle of self-sabotage on myself. And throughout this whole trading journey, one thing that I've really correlated with trading is my my struggle to quit smoking. And I wrote down something really cool the other day that I liked. Oh, yeah. Okay, so I wrote down the similarities between smoking and revenge trading. So, smoking and revenge trading. So, both are acting on impulses. Both are not being able to sit in discomfort. So, having that loss and having all of my profits go back to my break even because I didn't take profits. Having to lock out. So I have let's see if I can grab it here. I have maybe it's better. Yeah, look. I have a box that I use that I put my smokes in. So, and I'll time it. You can see 7 hours. Depends on the day. I'll time it. So most days I'll have a smoke in the morning and then I'll put it in the box and then I'll lock out of my smoking. So And I also lock out of my trading. And if I don't lock out, then some days it's just so hard not to come back, right? The next one is I can't seem to make progress on either, or the progress feels very slow. So I cut my smoking down. I smoke one a day for, you know, I don't know, a couple days. I smoke 2 a day, or, you know, and I feel good. But then, and then I'll have like a bad day and I'll smoke 4 or 5. And then that'll carry over the next day. I'll want to smoke more again. And it's just when you act on those emotions and you give into those emotions, so you give into the revenge trading. So you're like, oh, I feel bad, so I want to take a trade. And then sometimes it turns out good, so you feel good. And sometimes you have a smoke and then you feel good. But you know in the end that it's all just a process of sabotage. And then the last thing that I wrote here, it said both are ways of comfort in the moment, but self-sabotage in the long run. So I spent all my weekend thinking about all of these. And I had a really big breakthrough last week where I said that I was risking what I feel like. So instead of risking the $200 a trade, which is what I really, really want to do, I was actually risking what I felt like. So at the end of the week, I made this plan. So my Smaya's risk consistency, I made that plan, and I actually felt really good about it. So I could take subjective trades, I can take A+ setups, and I just kind of have a system that I'm going to follow. And on Friday, there was no A+ setups. I just took a subjective one, and you guys seen it. It hit 1 to 1, hit 1 to 2. It had pretty good RR, but it all just came back to break even. And at the point that it came to break even, it actually formed my other setup, and I was just watching it. Oh, well, I hit my stop loss. So something is going on, and I feel like I am, in a sense, struggling to break through this. It's like the fear of letting go, the fear of just trusting. And I make these videos to understand, just talk about it. I don't have anyone in my life that I talk about trading with. I actually prefer to not talk about trading to anybody. I prefer just to focus on every day, because, you know, you could take a win and then you take a loss, and then people that don't trade, they don't understand that. They're like, oh, well, you won and then you lose, and then how do you win and then you lose? How are you still on top? So I prefer to keep it all to myself. So these videos are actually very nice to make. But going forward, it's just about having a system and sticking to the system. As humans, we are filled with emotion. And while emotion gets us far in some places, like we can be emotional and still make it far in our job, because we can communicate and you know, manipulate people or something. You can get far, but when it comes with the market, you can't manipulate the market. If anything, the market manipulates you. So in order to move against something that is manipulative, then you kind of have to have that cool, calm demeanor. Like how you handle a person that manipulates you. You don't manipulate them back. The only way that you can win, really, is by saying and doing nothing in the face of being hurt. That's a good one. One thing that I did was I took this bullet. Can you guys see it? Hold on. Oh. No. Okay, well, anyway, it's called Bulletproof Your Trading Mindset. And it's actually a really simple course. But the gentleman has some really great things that he says. And I took down some notes, because they're actually things that I find that I struggle with. Let's go through my notes. And actually, I went through all of my notes. So I had notes from, I don't know, a year ago. And always my issue is fear. It's like fear to execute, fear to hold, fear to lose, fear to let the market go without me. And when I watched this little course, he actually talked about all those fears that I have. So when you're waiting for your trade, then you get the fear of missing out. You get FOMO. And then when price gives you an entry, you have the fear of losing, of entering and losing. And then when price approaches your TP, you have that fear of all the profits going away. And then when price hits your TP, you have the fear that the market can go in your direction without you. So those are actually all things that I suffer from. So it's very nice that he wrote that like that, because I got over my fear of missing out, because I know that my setup shows. All you have to do is sweep liquidity, higher time frame for value gap, form the setup, and it happens. Like some market opens, you'll get 3 A+ setups. So I'm not too worried about that anymore. When price gives me an entry, I do find I have the fear of loss. So what I do is I size down, and that sizing down is just a perpetual loss of self-confidence. So I take big wins with small size, and that never takes me anywhere. When price approaches my TP, you guys have seen me that it's coming close, it's stalling, it's getting there, and then I cancel my trade. I take my profits, but then I miss out on the bigger one, because I just want that uncomfortability to end. I want it to end, and I just want to take my profits and leave and be happy. But that in itself is like I'm handicapping myself. I'm smacking myself in the knee or in the face and saying, ah, and then going from there. And then this is one that I've suffered with the most, is what price hits your TP and then it goes further. And I'm like, oh man, I could have targeted more. Am I stupid for not targeting more? So this is very nice to identify, because when we can identify them at each point, then all you have to do is tell yourself that, you know what, I'm fearful, and just do the opposite. So it's going to be hard. Well, it's not actually hard. It's easy, because all you have to do is do the opposite. So I'm going to remind myself, and maybe you guys can remind me too in these moments, but I'd also be very happy to remind you guys about this stuff. So he also talks about this, so fear and greed, how they're the opposite of each other. You fear the loss, and you have the greed of winning. And it's true. I want to win. I don't want to lose. And, you know, over these last couple months, I've actually been pretty cool with losing, because I see that I lose more than I win, and that when I take those wins, I always bounce back on top. So my revenge trading has actually really just hurt my progress a lot, but I don't even know if it's hurting my progress. I feel like it's some type of subconscious limiting belief that I have, where I don't feel like, in a sense, that I deserve to win. So in that sense, when I realize that, then I find that trading is just a reflection of your life. So how do I serve myself every day? How do I keep my places tidy? How do I focus on my mental health? How do I stop smoking? And all those things, just to have some type of balance, and that will carry over into trading, and that's what I'm working on right now. So I find it really easy to have a routine. I have a routine every morning, but it's after trading where the routine kind of falls off. So once I finish my trading and that's all done, then I'm kind of just like willy-nilly for the rest of the day. So what I'm trying to do now, well, my goal is to have my morning routine, and then just keep my routine throughout the days, and have these little routines that we do, or that I do, in order to take care of myself, and taking care of myself and loving myself in my daily life will reflect back into my trading. Because if I know that I'm worth it, then I'll know that taking these emotional trades isn't good for me. Just like how when I'm stressed and I decide to smoke. So one thing I've been doing with my smoking is that I allow the smoking, but I'm not allowed to smoke when I'm stressed. I can have a smoke because I enjoy it, but to be stressed and go smoke, that's something I've really been trying to stop doing. And what do I do instead? I don't know. I've been sitting and thinking, pacing, and some days it's easier than others, and it's just about the programming. So the way that you've wired your brain. And I've always tried to have really good trading habits. Revenge trading hasn't been a part of my trading up until recently, up until I actually got good at trading and I know that I can make my profits. So now that I'm good at trading and I'm not afraid of losing all the time, then I'm using that as a way to battle the discomfort instead of just sitting with that loss. Because I was down $3.59 on the week, I only took a $100 loss, and that's really all very easy to come back from. You guys have seen me. We hit like 600 ticks in 2 trades the first 2 days of the week last week, which was amazing. So we stayed out of the market today. I'm going to reset my account, and we will be back tomorrow. And yeah. One thing I like to do when I have a lot to think about is I'll either smoke weed or I'll eat mushrooms, and I'll just sit and let the thoughts happen. And that's where this book has come in very good handy. I remember I used to write a lot before. I actually have other journals and stuff, and it's just really been helping, because then you can go back and you can read it, and then you can see places where you've grown and places where you still struggle. So that fear, it just keeps coming up in all my journals, is the fear. So work on that. Work on that. Oh, and one more thing I want to talk about was your edge. So our edge is in our strategy. We know our strategy has an edge, but does our mindset have an edge? So last thing I'm working on. Make a video out of that. I actually have a couple other videos I'd like to make, but that's all in due time. All right. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for this opportunity to say these things and to record them, so that in 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, I can watch it back and be like, yes, I got over it. I worked it through it.